There it is. All right. My name is Paul Rodrigues. We're gonna do the South Main Place, which is the first part of the Fall River Blues. We start reading it off. We have already assigned characters and whatnot. Melina's here and Stacy's here. So I'm gonna go C1. I do apologize about the construction work. So you know that it's happening right outside my window. So scene 1, center stage, open with exception to a streetlight and trash can barrel located center stage. Upstage is a large tan brick wall. The windows in the shops take up a third of the half of the wall of this wall. There are benches attached to the outside of the building. The wall is a mini mall named the South Main Place. Stage right is another smaller building that is attached to the South Main Place, which is the dispatch and area for the bus terminal. The angle connecting the two buildings is 45 degrees, and between the two conjoined buildings, both of the same color, is an elaborate entrance to the South Main Place, and to the left of the entrance, a small cafe with a counter space and stools. To the left of the door is one of the two doors that provide access to the bus terminal. Further stage left, there is a cop car, but obviously that's not going to work. Inside the cop car is Officer Sedanko, heavy-set, apathetic, and lazy. He reads the newspaper, just clocking in the hours. Stage left, the building ends and reveals an alleyway. The alleyway has a slight decline. Bless you. The Observer 22 enters the stage left, wearing a satchel and a hand-printed Bad Brains logo on it, and a small fold-up chair in hand. The Observer sets up the chair, sits down facing towards the building. The Observer sits, opens the bag, and pulls out a large sketchbook, pencil, and a plastic bottle filled with a beverage. The Observer places the bottle to the right side of the chair, opens up the sketchbook, and as soon as the pen clicks, the stage comes alive. Sound of the bus pulling up. Claire 65 and Irene 62 emerge from drop-off, stage right, near the cop car. Maz 25, early progressive level junkie, wearing jeans and an out-of-trend winger t-shirt. Maz sits down and starts to assess the ladies as a possible target. John Santos, 25, tattooed and looks hardened. He's wearing a plain t-shirt, combat boots as he emerges from the fucking place. He immediately spots Maz.
Mazzarelli? What the fuck is up?
Hey.
You know what's the problem here? I need to actually know my plots. I don't have them. I apologize for that. Where am I at?
We also need someone to read the stage directions.
Yeah, I'll do that, but
Okay.
But what do you call it there? I'm out of lost words right now. I actually didn't think of that. I thought of your stuff, but I didn't think of mine.
That's okay.
That's strange. Where is it? I don't have them. I wrote them down. Oh, actually, I have them right now. I'll do an Aldo, Jeff, Man with Words, and Officer Sedanko, right? Alright. Where are we at right now?
Alright, so let's take it from the end of the last stage direction, where it says he immediately spots Maz.
Yeah.
And I'm John, so Mazzarelli, what the fuck is up?
Hey.
John stands to shake. Maz stands to shake John's hand.
No car? I can understand that. I just got out. Baby steps. You know how it is. What have you been up to?
Working odd jobs here and there. You know how it is. It's Fall River.
I hear you.
Awkward pause.
I was about to get a bite to eat. You got some time?
Sure.
John and Maz walk down the alleyway, man with words, an eccentric vagabond that spouts words as he walks up the alleyway, but has a slack in his walk due to the unknown hesitation. The sound of another bus pulling up. More characters enter stage right. Man with dummy arm. Dom on his large sweatshirt is noticeably filled with something other than his arm, and the cuff is placed in his pocket as he sits down on the bench. Gloria and Fatima Cardoza are the last to exit the bus. They start towards the entrance of the South Main place.
Fuck that bitch. She says she's got to keep him, but he keeps showing.
What if you get knocked?
We in FR. She just need to come on that, Papa.
Gloria and Fatima pass by Claire and Irene as they enter the building.
Tramps. That is all they do. Walk around half naked.
You jealous?
No. I
Claire,
am not jealous.
Officer Zdenko exits the cop car and then adjusts his belt before grabbing his to-go cup of coffee for a refill in the cafe. Man with words is pacing. Officer Zdenko enters the cafe.
How could you say such a thing?
We used to do the same thing, maybe not in the same way, but we were boy crazy. We weren't virginal and holier than thou.
I was a virgin until I married, thank you.
Officer Zdenko emerges from the cafe with a fresh cup of coffee. And he's startled by girl, 7-year-old girl, exits the bus terminal and runs towards the curb to get on the bus. Zdenko almost crashes into her. Mother, 24. Now, these are people that have no dialogue. Looks tired and wearing unflattering clothes. Officer Zdenko to the mother, you need to watch your kid, lady. He shakes his head and walks towards the car. Use people make it too easy, he says under his breath. Okay, yeah, okay, I was supposed to do that. Girl walks over to the mother, and when Zdenko walks away, she sticks her tongue out at the cop and pegs him a middle finger. Maz walks up the alleyway, finishes his hot dog. No, anybody in the alleyway or the margins of the stage does not have a microphone turned on. And that's how this is supposed to work, this whole dual dialogue thing. The primary dialogue is from the person that's actually speaking, which is mic'd up, whereas the person that's not speaking has a lower tone. They're just rambling. You know, like when you watch scenes, and you watch people talk, and there's multiple conversations going on at once, and you're trying to track both of them? It's kind of like that. Okay, dual dialogue. To the left, the primary voice that is using microphone, and the one to the right is without. Man with words in the alleyway begins to rant. Periodically, his monologue is both internal and external, so it is fragmented. Jeffrey 19, dressed in like a house painter, he is noticeably well built as he walks around trying to look for a way to catch the bus. He looks around and spots a group of elder women, which is basically just Irene and Claire, because originally there was a third person. Man with words is just talking in the alleyway while other actions are taking place. I'm actually supposed to be doing both, so that's going to be kind of a headache. How do you figure out which bus to catch? And then what we'll do is we'll read off one side and then read off the other side, but it's basically supposed to happen at the same time. That makes sense.
Do you want me to do Man with Words?
You can. I mean, it's weird, but you can have at it.
All right, let's give it a shot, because it doesn't make any sense for you to do them both, Paul.
Okay. How do I figure out which bus to catch?
Do you know what really bothers me? Before the 5th grade, I seem not to recall any real memories.
You need to head in there, Ka-do-da. They will help.
Real memories that mattered. It is as if, prior to the end of grammar school, all the workings of prepubescent childhood didn't have any...
Thanks. He opens the door and enters.
Credible imprint. I guess that's one of the side effects of 6 long years in the special needs program. Being a little friendly, aren't we? Special needs, huh? Another part of that grand imperial filter. Gatekeepers just weeding out undesirables, preventing the 60s from happening again.
Another bus pulls up. More people enter stage right. Manny Cardozo with a cooler and a sweatshirt in his hand. Another for Fatima as he heads towards the cafe. He is clearly clearly a factory worker. It should be A there. Charles, he is dressed in the same name brand clothes and has a fat gold chain. Maz starts to track Charles' movement. The man with Damian, in response to the new people, coming, exiting the bus.
All I said was Kidida. He was easy on
It's
the eyes.
Kadita.
What?
It's Kadita.
Yeah.
It's with an accent, so it's.
Oh, okay. I see the dialogue.
It means loving one. It's Portuguese, but I did it phonetically as best as possible.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't realize. Okay. All I said was Kadita. He was easy on the eyes.
One interesting observation I have made over the year is that truth resides in the youth, and that scares them.
Here's our bus.
Adults compromise themselves so much that even if they don't intentionally sell out, they end up unknowingly buying in. He is half your age. Vetter said, all that's sacred comes from youth.
It was innocent. If it happens to pass by chance, it's all in working condition anyway.
We had a revolution, but in hindsight we revolted against the wrong agent. The collective ended up sleeping with our true enemy, and the result was the 80s. I can believe you. What has gotten into you? Should that be I can't believe you? What has gotten into you today?
Yeah, it is. Thanks for pointing out.
I am old and widowed, too young to call it quits, too old to be prudish.
Charles starts to walk towards the curb because he sees his bus. Maz lunges and tries to snatch the chain from Charles. Charles moves back, dodges the lunge, and then punches Maz in the nose, knocking him down to the ground. Jeffrey exits the terminal quickly.
Fucking junkies.
Maz gets up and runs down the alleyway, bumping into the man with words. Man with words continues to walk off. Are you alright? Are you okay, mister?
You junkie fuck.
Charles looks back at Jeffrey.
I'm okay. I hate taking the damn bus. It ain't like it used to be.
Sometimes you need to. Are you alright?
Yeah, thanks for watching, though.
Jeffrey and Charles part their ways. Charles heads to his bus. Jeffrey notices the cop as he walks back to the terminal and shakes his head in dismay. Must be a nice job. Charles and Claire and Irene start to make their way towards the curb and past Jeffrey as they do so. Irene glances back at him. Claire notices.
You are bad.
Claire and Irene exit stage right. A group of people enter stage right. Mike, average-looking. Aldo, a bald head wearing a tank top and has badly drawn homemade tattoos. I'm doing Aldo, right? Where's Mike?
I have Mike.
Okay, good.
Why not just head out to Colt State tomorrow?
Fuck that place. Every time I go out there, I end up getting into a fucking fight with some greenhorn or some piece of shit from South Providence. Jeffrey exits the bus terminal, and then exits stage right to catch the bus. Man with Damian moves from one bench to another. It should be clear at this point his actual arm is under his sweatshirt, and he's masturbating. Man with words enters stage left and is pacing around. Look at that Boy Scout, he gestures to Jeff. What a bitch, man. Fatima Gloria exits the South Main Place.
It's coming up the street right now.
Hey, baby, good lord. Aldo yells out to Gloria and Fatima. Manny Cardoza exits the cafe looking at the girls.
Man.
Oh, I'm Manny. I'm sorry. Fatima, hey, what are you doing?
Fatima walks over to Manny. Famata, man, look at that ass.
You shut your fucking mouth, or there'll be a problem.
Yeah. Gloria and Fatima walk over to the cafe. Manny stares straight-faced at Aldo, and Aldo just sits there quietly. Manny turns and walks back into the cafe. Fuck this place. I'm walking. Let's go. To Mike as they both get up. Lawrence, is 57. Is walking up the alleyway and passes Aldo and Mike as they walk upstage and exit. Lawrence has a rolled-up paper in his arm. He looks to see if his bus is coming, and then he turns to sit down to the man with dummy arm. Does not notice his activities. Lawrence opens up the paper and starts to read it. Man with dummy arm and center stage looks and sees his bus. That's not right, by the way. The last line.
Okay, living in church puppeteered fear for the latter half of the 20th century drove commerce while forcing obedience with the drug bug media vassals, drilling it fresh into people's skulls, replacing common sense with the stagnant nectar of paranoia. Paranoia injected into our collective brainstem, feeding, creating a hysteria that only a doctor can cure.
He gets a pound from the observer who's still sitting drawing all of this.
Is this what I have to spend my life worrying about? Is it?
He says candidly to the audience, not expecting his response, but knowing, unlike the others, they are there. Unlike the others, they are there. Man with words exit stage right to catch a bus. Lawrence, while reading the paper, happens to glance over to the man with dummy arm masturbating under his sweatshirt.
Good Lord, what are you doing?
He stands up in immediate response. Man with dummy arm stops, acts casual. Manny, Gloria, Fatima exit the cafe. John Santos starts to walk up the alleyway.
I'm going to ask you again, sir.
He says with more conviction because there are more people present. What are you doing? Oh.
What are you doing with yourself? That is disgusting, sir. What do you do? I thought I was Manny. What do you do? He's diddling himself.
Then he looks at Lawrence in confusion. Fatima makes a jerking off motion, and Gloria, horrified, starts to laugh nervously.
Is this true?
He asks the man with the dummy arm. No. I didn't realize he had dialogue.
What's with the arm then? Is you good? Pull up your sweatshirt.
Man with dummy arm gets up and starts to walk towards the alleyway, and then walks right into John Santos as he turns the corner. Man with dummy arm falls onto the ground, and the results the filled sleeve dummy arm, which is a nylon stocking filled with magazines, canned goods, and other items. What is that noise?
I'm sorry, they're leaf blowing. Let me shut the window. Jesus.
Man with dummy arm is clearly exposed. John's confusion as his right arm emerges from under his sweatshirt. John's confusion becomes disgust and then anger.
Fucking pervert!
John stomps on him as others start to cheer him on. Officer Zdenko sees John beating up the man with the dummy arm, gets up out of his cop car, gets out and adjusts his belt and walks over. What do you miscreants think you're doing? In a loud, commanding voice.
This man was diddling himself underneath the sweatshirt.
We're going to need another car at bus terminal on 2nd Street. Officer Zdenko flips the man, the dummy arm cuffs his wrist. Officer Zdenko takes out a second pair of cuffs.
What are you doing?
He asks Officer Zdenko. Turn around, pal. You know the drill. John turns around and places his hands behind his back.
Why are you arresting him?
He assaulted this degenerate.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. One for public exposure and the other is for an assault. This job is too easy. I just sit back and wait until somebody gives me a reason, and like clockwork, these guys never fail. Who's Gloria?
I am but the sound of a cop car.
Oh yeah, the sound of a cop car number 2 pulling up.
That is petty.
Hey, people here every day. People here every day create the problem. I just give them the time, and they hand me the crime. It's like everybody can't handle being around each other. We're maybe, with the exception to the diddler over there. You guys are like fucking animals.
That's pretty rude. Oh, I'm sorry, Rita.
Okay. That is pretty rude.
It's obvious that the way you like it, it never changes day in, day out. It just erodes more and more.
Wow, that's a sad way to look at it.
I'm a cop in Florida. There's no other way to look at it. Manny, Gloria, and Fatima exit stage left. Cop 28 enters stage left. I got the tough guy here. He says to the cop, "You get the diddler over there. Make sure you wear some gloves." Officer Denko exits John over to the escorts John over to the car. The remaining people on the stage start to exit stage right. Cop puts gloves on and escorts Man Damian to exit stage left. The observer closes his sketchbook, or that should be her, puts the remainder of the drink and sketchbook into the bag, and then clicks the pen, which shuts down all the action and the lights on the stage. The observer puts the satchel over her shoulder and fold-up chair and exits through the alleyway. Does that make sense? How it works?
Well, he says we're supposed to discuss it, so...
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's what it says. Read aloud and discuss the posted 10 pages from each member.
Okay.
All right.
Record and post your reading. So,
Besides 100 characters, what else is going on?
it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
I think, in all honesty, from having done a cursory reading, you're going to confuse the hell out of the audience. Plays do not, Showboat on Broadway didn't have this many characters. It's a lot
Well,
for a play.
the idea was not to. I wasn't thinking. My relation would be a play. It would be watching a bus terminal. That was my thinking going into it. Just the idea of just people watching. Even the people that are not doing anything, I would imagine would be doing something. I just haven't figured out. I didn't want to overwrite it. But in all honesty,
So what makes you make this a play instead of a film?
Because the way it connects, it's more. It's rather than having the film. How to explain this? The transitional, the static. Yeah, I'm not moving the eyes at all. I have no interest in moving the eyes at all. The idea is the audience is actually sitting down from the observer's perspective and seeing all the action, and it is a lot. It's supposed to be busy. That was the idea.
All right. I get what you're going for. Yeah.
Have you ever sat in front of a bus terminal?
What?
Has anybody ever sat in front of a bus terminal?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a freak show. It's great.
Yeah, I definitely, reading it this way and seeing the script, I get what you're going for, but it might be confusing for the audience. I would look at the characters again and think about whose story is important, necessary, things like that. Whose story is it?
Yeah, I agree with Milena, because at the end of the day, it really can only be one person's story. And you can have this kind of interaction, I think, while making it scenes so that all of the people aren't in the scene at the same time. I think you can find a middle ground from having just two people on the stage to having as many as you have right now. And so let me get this though, you want everybody who is in the play to be on stage at the same time? Either just a little bit off stage or in center stage?
Yeah, they're segueing. Yeah, at various points in time, it's literally moving traffic. What happens is the sets of characters you have their own stories.
Right.
So you're being introduced to everybody's what is that called? The hook at the very beginning, because every story continues from that point on. Like Jeff will go home and have the issue with his wife. Irene will separate from Claire, go home and be miserable. So on and so forth. The only characters that pop out of the normal story continuum are the Man with Words and the Observer. That is it. They're kind of like a slightly meta character, even though you end with the Observer getting beat to death.
So if I ask whose story does this feel like, what would you say?
It's everybody's. That's the problem. It's kind of like an Ullman film. Like there's, instead of me refocusing eyes on said character over here and said character over here. I'm showing you them all intermingling with each other. Almost like remember the Muppet Show? When they used to do dance sequences in the Muppet Show?
I've never seen it.
There was a period of time in the Muppet Show you used to have every so often you used to have dance sequences, and they would give one-liners here and there and have jokes with each other, but all the characters were all in the same room.
And I get that, and I know that can work. And I guess looking at it from a pragmatic standpoint, even though you've got age ranges of actors that could, because I had to consider this for mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've got 7 characters. I've got 6 actors or 7 actors that I need, and Jason told me I was pushing it with that.
Yeah.
And with the way you've got these guys coming in and off at the same time, and then none of them actually leaving the stage, I think from a pragmatic standpoint, you're going to have a very challenging time getting them identified to the audience.
Okay.
So that they know who is who.
I'm not. I know they have quite a few on the stage. Like if they go into the South Domain place, they're not there. If they go down the alleyway, they're no longer there. They're not visible. But I'm not sure how to manage that. Like when I first
you need an Excel. You need a big storyboard. You need to do each scene because that's what I ended up doing.
Try the website Trello.
What?
Use the website Trello.com. It's a carding out online.
Yeah, and the other software programs have them too. Keltex has it. Final Draft has index cards.
Yeah.
So whatever way would work for how your brain works. You know, I'm tactile. I need to have it. I can't do it online.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see it somewhere that I can physically touch it. So either index cards or Trello or one of the aspects of Keltex or Final Draft, whatever you're using to write it, it needs to be storyboarded so that you can see that.
Okay.
I think that's really important.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing I would say,
how to wrap my head around it. Like I know what you're saying, and I got that advice after the fact. So that, like what you're saying is actually reiterating what was said to me already. Like
okay.
Characters. So I'm trying to figure out how to. I'll figure it out.
You will. Well, you know what? It might be helpful to do a card for each character and then list where they show up in the play. Because if you've got actress 1 playing Claire and whoever, and Fatima, I'm just making this up because they're older, it wouldn't be. But if you've got someone playing both Claire and Fatima, they can't be in the same scene together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There is some of the mixing. There's some that people have left the stage completely though. Like because in the trends, I'm not sure if that was clear enough. There are some people that actually go into the building behind them. There's some people that go down the alleyway. Some people just there briefly and then catch a bus.
Right.
I'm not sure if I captured that really well. I probably didn't though.
Well, I think part of it is because there's an awful lot of stage direction. And I would just encourage you to think about tightening that up, writing the stage direction as if you were writing a film, so that you're only using 3 lines per direction, because having 6, 12, 15 lines of stage direction, as a read, it's going to completely slow it down.
Yeah.
And you're not really going to get a handle of that pace that you want to see.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm trying to do? I'm also trying to figure out, maybe there's a way to manage the stage better, whereas highlighting using the lighting system, so we're not focused on the whole scene, but we're focused on parts of the scene, so movement can happen in the background. I was trying to think about how to make that work so everybody's there, but not there all at the same time.
Right, but then you need 18 actors.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not going to happen.
Yes,
no one's going to produce
that.
that.
I should use the building a lot more than what I have in the first place. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Actually, that might answer that. That might solve that problem. If I use the building, the backdrop for the building, them going in and out of the South Main place, which is common, that might tighten up the amount of people out on stage at the same time. I really wanted to do a dual dialogue.
And you could have the costumes behind the building. You know, because that's also something that you didn't address in here, because you've not given me anything about what they're wearing. You know what I mean? Like Manny needs to have an orange hat, and John needs to have a Boston a Patriots T-shirt or New England. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I get
the characters
I
are
get what you
easily,
mean.
yeah, the characters are really easily identifiable to the audience.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would just storyboard this stuff and just see, like, draw lines or use yarn or something, see how everybody connects. And I think that, yeah, once you have a visual, I think it'll be really easy to just kind of pick out what you need to add or get rid of.
And pull more of the straggling, like the actors or the characters are not doing anything to pull them off the stage, and put them in where I guess they'll be switching out costumes. If that makes any sense. Because if I can do that more, then I can serve how many people are actually on the stage at the same time.
Well, and what you might want to do is on each side of the building have a window, so that you could see them moving around back there. So actually, they technically haven't left the stage. So you still get that hustle bustle feel
I like that.
because you could see them through the window.
Yeah, you would be able to. Like the physical place, I already have it in my mind. Like this place did exist at one point in time.
Yep.
So yeah, that would actually work because you actually see everybody through the store. As soon
Right,
as
and not a big window,
no,
so
it's
that you're not seeing them. Right.
like the top third of the piece. Like you don't see the bottom part. You don't see if they're actually changing. You'll see activity. And it's normal activity too because there's shelving units inside the building. So it would look like people going up and going down to pick up items off of the shelf.
Right.
So I would have to have
because
leaving and exiting with maybe some bags of items they picked up.
right, because the hustle and bustle is a character in and of itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. That's what I was
that
trying to
level of
capture,
activity.
yeah, the constant movement and being able to see
Right.
that chaos. Because I mean, when you do people watching, or you happen to sit down and just watch activity, you start noticing patterns. And that was the idea. That was more or less the idea. Like the idea that the audience will pick up on the junkie wanting to attack somebody, but John not picking up on that.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
And the other thing I would say is use contractions, because unless you're using it to emphasize something, like I do not want to go,
Yeah.
as opposed to I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Because the contractions are more casual, and unless you're doing it on purpose.
No, I actually stood away from doing a lot of phonetical language. Like we did the Cadita with Portuguese thing. I was trying to stay away from that because I didn't want it to be heavy on that, and everybody was like, "What the hell is this? What is he trying to say here?" So, but I could do that because I obviously know the area language well. And there's variations, like from somebody from Boston or somebody from other places. I would pick up on that really quick. Sometimes people don't use contractions, sometimes they do, but I noticed that seems to be an issue with me for some reason.
It just doesn't read. It's not going to flow naturally out of an actor's mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, I would get rid of the phonetical spelling as well. That just confused me a little bit.
Okay. See, I'm not even
Yeah,
sure.
because
Well, the problem is if that situation, she would naturally say that. Now the question is, if I put the correct spelling in there, would the person be able to figure that out?
they'll trust the actor.
It's it's for them to.
The actors and the director will figure it out.
Okay. See, I
If
was.
you feel
I was
it's
not-
necessary, if you feel it's necessary, you could add an addendum page, either after the cast page or at the end of the play, with the Portuguese words that you've used, saying what they mean. But I was just at a staged reading I'm trying to remember what it was, and people had no idea what these words meant. Where was I? I'll remember at some point. But it was for an Irish play, because I observed all the rehearsals for PICT, the Pittsburgh Irish and Classical Theater, this summer. And, Aoife, who was the director, just texted a friend in Ireland and like, what the hell does this mean? You know? So the director and the actors, it's incumbent upon them to figure out what it means.
Yep.
Basically.
I'm just looking at everybody being slackers, but I see a point. Okay, that makes sense.
You got to trust them at some point, Paul.
Yeah, I know.
Because, if they're going to be doing your work, you're going to have to find a way to trust them.
Yeah.
And when you put in parentheses, I don't know if it's different for when you're writing a play, but when you put like things like he said to the cop, put it under the character's name, not at the end, just so that we know how to read it before we read it.
Okay.
It just makes it a little bit easier for us to.
Yeah, that's how you do in screenplays too.
Yeah.
All right, are you good?
Yeah, I'm fine. Actually, that was
Okay.
quite helpful, especially with the whole addendum piece and the management of the stage, because I really didn't consider any of that when I first started writing this.
Okay. All right, you ready, Milena?
Sure.
Are you going to do the stage directions?
I can do stage directions, yes. Yep, I'll do stage direction and the character mark.
Okay.
And then you guys know what your characters are?
Yep, I'm Jody and Brooke.
Yep. Then Paul, you're Rich and Annie.
Yeah, okay. Because they're not in the same scenes together, right? That's what you said?
Rich and Annie, no, they don't have any scenes together, so.
Jody and Brooke do.
Jody and
So,
Brooke
I'll figure it out.
exchange a few sentences, but that's about it, yeah.
Okay.
Alright, shall we get going?
Yeah, good.
Alright, I titled this Chenango Valley. Still in the works.
What is
Alright.
that?
What?
What is Chango Valley?
Chenango Valley is up by me.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's upstate New York.
upstate New York. For now, we'll see. Location might change. Alright. Interior house, bedroom day. The morning light shines through the sheer curtains and onto the yellow walls. Jody, 34, is tucked under her comforter, asleep. An alarm startles her awake and she hits it, pushing it off the nightstand. Jody wears oversized flannel pants and a top. Her hair is a mess, and she has bags under her eyes. She looks around the room, confused. The shower turns on from the connecting bathroom. Jody gets out of bed and puts on a robe. She looks at herself in the mirror and reaches for a small bottle of cream. She dabs some under her eyes. Jody stares at herself. She throws her dirty blonde hair into a messy bun. The shower shuts off from the bathroom. Interior house, kitchen day. Jody makes eggs and toast and pours 2 glasses of orange juice. The news is on in the background. Rich, 39, comes into the kitchen. He has a work suit on and he checks himself out in the mirror.
Morning, sweetie.
Rich kisses Jody on the cheek.
Morning.
Rich grabs a piece of toast and opens up a planner on the counter. Jody reaches for her own planner.
What's your day looking like?
I've got a meeting at 4, but I should be out by 5, maybe 5:30. Oh, and I've got my work party tonight at 8.
Jody writes in her planner.
Perfect. I'll start dinner at 5:50. It'll need to simmer for about 45 minutes, so I'll put us down for intercourse at 6.
What?
What?
You're scheduling a sex life?
The doctor said that it's our best chance of getting pregnant.
I know, but don't you think you're getting a bit,
Rich struggles for words.
A bit what?
nothing. Look, what happened, we just let it happen when it happens.
Excuse me?
I'm just saying, I think if we're meant to have a kid, it'll happen. Don't stress too much.
Don't stress? I'm 34. Do you know that the older women get, the more...
I know, but I'm under a lot of stress at work. You know, I'm taking all these interns under my wing and all eyes on me. If I do well, then I get the promotion, which means we get a promotion, which means we could put money away for the baby when we have the baby. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, you're right. You're working hard, and I know it's for us. I guess I've had baby on the brain a little too much.
Just relax today, okay? See your sister, get a massage, get your nails done. How does that sound?
Jody smiles.
Okay. Sorry.
Rich kisses Jody's head.
I have to get going. I'll call you when I'm on lunch.
Sounds good. Have a good day.
Rich smiles back at Jody and leaves. Exterior restaurant day. Jody sits across from her sister, Annie, 32. Annie is petite aside from her pregnant belly. She is cute and bubbly and somehow looks completely comfortable despite the unborn child. They eat a dish of greens.
We are thinking prunella. It's Greek, or what is that?
Quenby.
Quemby? That's one's Scandinavian.
Where the hell are you getting these baby names?
The internet, why?
Jody shakes her head.
Hey, what was the baby name you were going to use?
Talia.
Talia, that's right. It's so cute. The name just... That might just be my backup.
That cannot be your backup, Annie. I'm using it.
You're pregnant?
No, but we're still trying.
That's great, Jody. Seriously, you are doing it in vitro?
No, not yet. The old-fashioned way, scheduling sex like a grown-up.
Jody rolls her eyes.
I bet Rich is excited. You said he's always wanted a boy.
Jody plays with her food, not looking up at Annie.
Oh, Jody.
His heart doesn't seem in it.
Well, I'm sure that'll change when you actually get pregnant. Sometimes it's a struggle to get there. Sorry about that. But once you do, it's totally worth it. Look at Jerry. He reads To My Stomach every night at 7:30 and sings to it every morning at 9, right on schedule.
Isn't that a bit much?
No way. We've read a ton of baby books, and they say it's good. It's a good idea to establish a routine early.
I think they mean when it comes out of the womb.
Annie takes a large bite of her food.
Don't worry about Rich. His heart may not be in it now, but it will be once you're pregnant.
Jody smiles, unsure. Interior house, bedroom night. Jody stands in front of a full-length mirror. She wears a thin black lace corset. She tugs it up and smooths it out just as Rich walks in. Jody jumps.
Oh, God, Rich!
Rich kisses Jody on the cheek.
How was your day?
Rich goes to the closet and picks out a tie, ignoring Jody.
It was good. I went shopping today.
Jody tries to stand in a sexy pose.
Oh, yeah?
Rich finds the right tie, then notices Jody fidgeting.
That's nice. Is that new?
Jody saunters towards him.
Brand new. Do you like it?
You look beautiful.
Jody stops in her tracks and frowns.
What? Oh,
Wait, that's me. What?
come on, Rich.
Come on. What?
I'm trying to seduce you.
You're trying to...
Seduce you, yes.
Okay. Would you mind telling me why?
Why? Because I'm your wife. Because I know that I've turned sex into work now that we want a kid, so I thought I'd make it fun.
Rich holds up his hands.
Okay, I get it.
Do you? Because I act like I'm the only one who wants a kid.
Hey,
Rich puts his hands on Jody's shoulders.
you know what? I want a baby.
You do?
Of course. I know I've acted like I'm not interested. It just became routine, and I think I lost sight of the goal.
Well, I suppose I wasn't much help. I just wanted a baby so bad. I thought I'd take another approach.
I just don't like all the pressure on me. I have a lot of going on.
Maybe we can figure out something that works for both of us.
Rich kisses Jody's head.
What do you say we get dressed and head downtown to my work party?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I just not really in the party mood. Plus, everyone tries to lawyer talk to me, and I have no idea what they're saying.
Rich ties his tie around his neck.
Oh, come on, it'll be fun. I'm sure it'll put you in a good mood, and I'd love for you to meet the interns. They don't know what they're talking about either.
Rich chuckles.
You go. Wake me up when you're home. And the tie looks great.
Thanks. See you after.
Rich leaves. Interior house, living room night. Jody is wrapped in her robe as she sits on the couch and watches a movie. She picks up her phone and sends Rich a text. I hope you're having a great time. Jody puts down her phone and thinks for a moment. She peeks at her lingerie under her robe and smiles. Interior Mickelson Law Office night. Jody wanders into the office. The door says Mickelson Law Office. Jody wears a flattering black cocktail dress. She squeezes through the mass of lawyers and business people. Mark Mickelson, 50s, Rich's boss, pops up in front of her. Jody, good to see you. Rich said you weren't feeling well tonight.
Oh, well, I wasn't, but I am now.
Glad you're here. Rich has been doing a great job with the interns this week. Hey, speaking of, have you met Brooke? Mark pulls over a gorgeous, leggy, brown-haired girl. This is Brooke, 26.
Brooke? No, I don't believe I have.
Rich comes up behind Jody. She's one of the new interns.
A shock, this one.
To Jody.
To Jody. Hi, sweetie.
Mark kisses Jody. Yes. Oh, well, that meant Rich kisses Jody.
There you go. Completely different story now, huh?
Rich kisses Jody. Yes, we're lucky to have her. Jody and Brooke shake hands and laugh at the boys.
My bark is worse than my bite, I promise. It's nice to meet you.
To Mark and Jody.
If you'll excuse us,
To Brooke.
I'll see George Brighton. He'll be a great guy for you to meet.
Good eyes, Rich. You two mingle. I'll keep your wife company. Rich puts his hand on the small of Brooke's back as they walk away. Interior Mickelson law office night. Jody leans against a wall, a glass of wine in her hand. She checks her watch. 9:30 p.m. She wanders down a long, empty hallway nearby. She enters a woman's bathroom. Interior bathroom continuous. Jody sets her glass of wine down next to the sink and smooths her dress. She pulls loose strands of her hair back out of her face. Jody checks her watch again. 9:32 p.m. She takes a sip of wine. Interior law office hallway night. Jody exits the bathroom. She notices a dim light opposite from the way she came. She wanders down to a closed office door. The light shines through a small window of blurred privacy glass. Jody hears mutters through the door. She knocks.
Rich, are you in?
Jody swings the door open. There is a naked Rich. A naked Brooke is squeezed between him and the wall. Rich breaks a kiss with Brooke to see Jody in the doorway.
Jody.
Brooke quickly dresses. Rich finds his boxers and pants.
Okay, hold me. Hold on. It's not what it seems.
Tears well up in Jody's eyes, but don't spill over just yet.
Really? Really? He's right.
Jody holds up her hand to Brooke. Brooke grabs her shoes and jacket and rushes out past Jody. Rich takes a step towards Jody, but she takes a step back.
Don't. How long?
Rich shakes his head. He knows he's busted.
Just a couple of weeks.
Jody nods. Tears spill out of her eyes.
While we're trying to have a baby? Nice. I don't know where you'll stay tonight, but it won't be our house.
Jay, let's talk about this.
Jody shakes her head. She holds back a waterfall of tears.
I don't think so.
Jody exits.
So refresh my memory, Milena, about where this is going, because I don't know that I ever read where this is going, because I thought you were doing something else at first, right?
I was. Yeah, this is about Jody and her relationships. So obviously she's having problems at home with her husband. He's cheating. She can't get pregnant. And then in a couple scenes, she's going to get a call from her sister saying that her mom is sick. I haven't really nailed down the details of that phone call yet, but essentially Jody is going to be the only sister that can go take care of her mom, Gloria. So
okay.
This story's gonna take place there at Chenango Valley, essentially, and at her mother's house. She finds out her mom has cancer. Yeah, she has issues with her sisters, with her husband.
Did you write a scene about the mother and Jody in a car with a flat tire or something?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's that. And the tone that I'm kind of going for is like The Judge with Robert Downey Jr.
Okay.
So
okay.
I don't know if you saw it, but it's kind of, I just saw it and I didn't realize how similar my idea was. But apparently his dad has cancer and they don't speak. So that's
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that I have a whole lot of feedback right now. The only thing I would say, and I don't know that you could really change it, is that it would be nice if there were another reason besides her husband cheating on her. You know what I mean? It just felt a little expected to me.
Actually, there's a couple of ways you can go with this. First of all, she's there. The husband's not cheating. That's a big issue. Somebody that's watching the film will be like, that doesn't make any sense. Only because she's there.
Right.
Now, if she walked into a swinging party, after all, That would be better. That would be crazy, but yet right to the point, and it'd have a bigger punch because it'd be more of a shock situation.
So maybe she walks into
Really,
the
the
office
execution
and
building up makes sense. Oddly enough, I went through this at one point in time, so I can kind of relate to part of it, which is weird. But you really want it to hit really hard. The lapse in time is not good enough.
okay. Sense if she. Oh, sorry. Would it make more sense if she walks into the office and Rich doesn't see her and she catches him cheating?
Yes.
Still expected.
It'd be creepy if there was several people cheating at the same time. So that would be even weirder because she'd be like, "Yeah, what the hell is this? I'm done," and that would give her a lot of not only shock but shock and anger, like instantly. So it'd be more visceral. Yeah, I can't hear you.
Did it mute again?
You have like a remix. Every so often you have your voice, and all of a sudden it goes away when you start typing.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, so, all right.
Yeah, I mean, the building up makes sense. I mean, this is a situation that does happen with couples. I said I can kind of relate to it. I've known somebody that actually went through a really horrendous headache for it. But what's really interesting is that would actually tie more into why the sex hasn't been productive. Because if he's screwing a bunch of people, yeah, he's not getting. I mean, well, it sounds disgusting. He's not getting quality semen going on there, so the sex wouldn't be productive at all. So even if they were doing it, in all honesty, he probably would be able to. Like, there should be something there that would actually make sense. Because typically, when something, contrary to belief, that if guys are screwing around that much, if females screwing around, they're not sexually active, that them ignoring their spouse wouldn't typically happen. Even though, like, the pop culture tells you that, it's actually the opposite. Heavily sexually active people will have sex on a drop of a dime. So the quality of semen and the ability to impregnate somebody will decrease because obviously ejaculations happen a lot more. I said, well, it sounds disgusting.
Right. Well, she's also infertile.
Oh.
Which is going to be, I mean, because they're trying to. She's scheduling sex. It's a chore now.
But typically, if you get sometimes in that situation, you would have, especially at that age, you probably would have to actually schedule the sex more often than like if you were in your 20s. Because actually, I think beyond a certain age, the probabilities of having problems with the kids or the kid carrying the full term decreases with each year after. I can't remember which year it is though, off the top of my head. Yeah. So you have to factor that in. But if that's the case, then what the friend said is pretty nasty.
What?
Vitro?
Oh, she was just asking if she.
That's still kind of like rude. Like, is it that type of friend?
But that's her sister.
Oh, sister. Yeah, sorry about that. Is that
sister would ask that question.
Yeah.
Something crazy. Okay. Yeah, that's a different story then. I forgot it was sister.
Yeah.
But there's something to factor in. Like, you can segue this a little. Just from the threading, the ending should be ridiculous. Like, you want to see a quick anger rather than the typical walking off, or maybe holding it in and it showing up being projected somewhere else. That would be actually, even though it would be funny, you can still maintain a drama because of it. Because even though you have, I want to say part of the judge. I don't remember. Is that with Robert Downey Jr. and
yes.
Yeah.
Robert
Duvall? Yeah.
I caught windows of it. I didn't catch the whole thing, but didn't he like make out with somebody's daughter in that movie?
Yeah.
And they meet up later on. That's funny. But in drama, you're allowed to have that, like some levels of horror, some levels, everything basically, all in one tent.
Well, what she will do is when she gets to her mom's, she does, make out with some guy who she just randomly meets.
That works.
So you will see that, but it's in like 2 scenes.
Okay.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What does she want more? To have a child or to be married? And you don't have to answer that now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I just think it's something good to think about because that's going to dictate her reaction.
Another thing.
She wants a kid. She wants a kid more. I think she wants that perfect life. It comes out with her mom, all this drama and stuff from her past, but she wants a perfect life that she didn't have, that her mom didn't provide for her. So she wants the white picket fence, the dog, the perfect faithful
I get
husband.
that. I know people like that.
So,
So, but her wanting a kid being the absolute number one priority might change how she handles finding him with someone else.
okay.
Because let me just finish.
Yeah.
Because if she really wants a kid that badly, it's possible that she might blame herself
Okay.
for him cheating. I'm just saying. I'm not saying you have to use it. I just think it's really important that you're clear for her what her priority is, because that will affect how she reacts to him.
Okay. It's interesting that you say that because I put those little things like when, Rich kind of always puts it on him. He's like, "Oh, I'm so stressed at work," and then she does blame herself in those
Right.
little instances. So maybe that would make more sense to have that in this scene or after.
And maybe she needs to catch him twice. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Have him apologize and blah, 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 and she thinks she's back on solid ground, and then she meets Annie for a drink at a bar. Well, she wouldn't because she's pregnant, but you know what I mean. Lunch
Right.
somewhere or whatever at a hotel lobby and finds him coming out of the hotel. Whatever. It's your story. But I'm just saying that in order to really, for us to understand her, we really need to know how important having a baby is to her.
Okay.
So.
All right, that makes sense.
The two things I have to say, if she's actually building up to have this perfect life structure, I've been around those people, and sometimes it gets really crazy once they achieve that goal, and there's nothing after that,
Right.
and you get creepy, so take that into consideration. The other thing, too, is she actually having the kid or pushing for the kid because maybe she senses something's off?
No, she has a bad relationship with her mom. She doesn't want that with a kid, so she wants kind of like her own. She loves kids. I mean, just she loves kids in general, so she does want a kid for that sense. But it's also having to do with her mom. She doesn't want to raise her kid the way that her mom raised her. So also by having a kid, she's kind of creating a different life for herself, if that makes sense.
Would there be a creepy kid like I have I'm gathering items, kid items? Would that exist in this person's life?
Would she be buying baby stuff already?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can put that in. Yeah, actually, that's pretty good.
The reason why is because that would actually turn them on.
Okay. Yeah.
The reason why is because I mean, this paints me as a specific type of person, but I've known enough guys to know this. If he is actually, if he's working a lot, he's going to have sex with her. I don't know anybody, maybe the generation before me, I don't know anybody that's like that. Any guys like that. Work stress doesn't, actually, if anything, the stress relief would be the sex. But something would have to completely turn him off. And in this situation, you actually have him having sex with somebody else. But even then, that really wouldn't change anything. Actually, it becomes more of a vice. It doesn't become an actual act, if that makes any sense. It's like drinking. It's like sex comes out like that, like smoking, drinking. It's something else that just creates a reprieve from the stress he's having at work. So
he's not actually stressed at work. He's just using that as an excuse to make her take the blame.
What I was saying, I know no generation. I don't know guys that are like that. I've never met a guy that's like that. Typically, what would happen though is something she would be doing would turn him off, and the baby thing would do it. Yeah, it would definitely do it. That would be like, yeah, this is not normal sex. Actually, maybe even 86 in the whole idea. She's getting dressed up a specific way, and making it more of a chore, and trying to be sexy out of that thing. Trying to find some balance in between, but the baby thing overrides it. That would be creepier, because that would definitely be like that would kill any romantic notion without her realizing. Because she's thinking love, sex. Like he's thinking sex, she's thinking love. It's two separate entities in the guy's mind.
Right.
No, I know, but this is just the kick in the ass she needs to go take care of her mom, right? I mean,
Correct.
Yeah.
this is so I don't know how much you need to delve into that unless you circle back around to their marriage at the end of the film.
That's what I was thinking.
It,
You leave enough
it
threads.
doesn't really. Him cheating. That's like the inciting incident. That's
Right,
the
that's
thing
what I
that
thought.
keeps it. Yeah, it pushes it. It does. I mean, it comes into play with the fact that she meets some guy while she's taking care of her mom. But I mean, other
She
than
goes,
that, Rich doesn't come back
she goes
into the
from a marriage
picture.
that quickly to another relationship.
What?
She goes from a marriage that quickly to another relationship.
Not a relationship. No, she just meets some guy. She's there. She's trying to figure out how she's feeling. She was cheated on. She can't have a baby. Her sick mom is dying and she hates her. She's conflicted about everything that she's feeling and everything that's going on. So she's just not thinking, she's just doing.
Is she
So,
gonna end up with the other guy?
what?
Is she gonna end up with the other guy, or is that something that's possible?
No.
Leave it off like that.
Well, this is a story about her and her relationship, so she doesn't end up with anybody in the end
Well,
that
leave
I'm
it.
aware of.
Okay, no, I was thinking like B story, like something off to the side. You know, sometimes you create all these threads and you eventually end them off in the end, even though the core story is about her and her mom. So I wasn't sure
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that she was again interested in was going to be something kind of left up in the air. Because a marriage, walking away from a marriage is like that's a big deal. That's why I'm kind of like looking at the mechanics of that, and I'm probably overthinking the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is over the course of a couple months, maybe 2 months. I don't know. I haven't really thought it out yet. But so over that time, she's talking to Rich, calling, but she doesn't want to see him. And yeah, there's contact, but she's taking this time to think. It's not something that's a rushed process or anything.
I mean, I think you're off to a really good start with it, Milena. I think, some of the questions we asked will help you to uncover a little bit more of motivation and maybe where you see it going. And the only thing that I would say just from my own experience is it's fine to have an outline, but the characters often end up telling you something completely different than what you imagined. And I would just be open to that. That's all.
Okay.
The example I was thinking of off the top of my head, and this is why the only reason why I even started peeling apart the first 10 pages and looking at the underlying stuff and the structure is have you ever seen the movie The Strangers? It's a horror movie.
No.
It's interesting because the very beginning, it's one of the few films that are like this. It starts off with a breakup, and you're so stuck in that when the threat actually shows up, you're not even thinking about that.
Okay.
But it's a major hit when it happens because it's literally in the middle of the night. The two of them arguing. It's a gut-wrenching breakup, and because he asks her to marry him, and it just goes sour, and the two actors actually pull it off really well. And I was just thinking on more along those terms, like she's walking away from that situation. Now, obviously not killers showing up the door, but now she's going into a different situation, dealing with another problem. That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you want to check it out, just watch it. It's like maybe 20 minutes. You don't even need to watch the whole damn thing. But I think it works out really well how they actually start off with this, and then it goes in this direction.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. Nothing big.
All right.
We got.
All right. Shall we?
Two Stacy's.
You
You said chapter 2, right?
Yeah, so we're going to do chapter 2. And if you would be Katie, Milena, and then Paul, you would be Andy.
Okay.
And I'll read the stage directions. And this is 17 pages, I think, so we just have to do the first 10. I think that'll give me an idea anyway. So
Okay.
let me see.
Okay.
I'm up for going through the whole thing if you want. It's up to you.
Well, let's see how we feel. Because I know Milena's got a call with Jason too, and probably wants some time to prepare for that. So let's see how it goes. Okay.
All right.
I don't have the ages or stuff in here because it's in my character list. But both Carol and Andy are in their late 40s, early 50s, and Katie is in her late 20s.
Okay.
So the setting is a seedy bar called Trappers in the inner city. At Rise, Andy Trapper, grizzled, a cigarette hanging out of her mouth, tends bar. Sister Carol Lee, a nun wearing a habit and street clothes, is visible at the edge of the bar, finishing her Bible study class. Katie Barker sits at the bar drinking a glass of wine. She plays with her phone. A toast to the Lord, gentlemen. She raises her glass of Guinness. From Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 21. He is the one you praise. He is your God, who performed for you those great and awesome wonders you saw with your own eyes. May we all find a way to see a miracle this week. Until next Friday afternoon. Sister Carol Lee throws back the last of her beer and walks over to the bar. She takes a seat on a stool. Fill her up, barkeep. Teaching about Jesus makes me thirsty.
Everything makes you thirsty.
Andy fills the glass and Sister Carol Lee takes a long pull. I don't need a lecture, just a nice cold Guinness.
People don't believe me when I tell them I have a regular who's a nun.
Only two things I love in this world, Andy, Jesus Christ and Guinness. What's up with Miss Sourpuss?
She's been like that since she got here.
Maybe she needs more wine.
She's already on her second glass.
I can hear you.
A man break your heart?
No.
Liar! Sorry about that. He that dumped you, hate you, or screwed around on you. Women don't drown their sorrows about failed careers in a bottle of Merlot.
Leave me alone.
Do as she says, Andy. Misery loves company, and I'd rather be alone.
How'd you go with the boys tonight?
There was a new one. Lives in that dump over on 22nd.
The one Ivan owns?
He's the devil himself, charging these guys $200 a week. How can they ever find something better when they can't save any money?
I know, I saw it all the time in Florida.
But you were working with felons, Andy. These guys are just poor, uneducated.
That's why they need Jesus.
Andy!
Careful, you might put yourself out of business if they all get successful.
I swear, sometimes I think you have no faith.
I have faith, just not in religion.
The church saved my life.
Did it now?
You know I'd have married him. Had 2, maybe 3 more kids. Then one day something would have tipped me over the edge and I'd have killed his cheating ass. If it weren't for the church, I'd be in prison for murder.
You would have made it to 3 kids?
Thanks for the vote of confidence.
Actually, shouldn't there be a question mark right there?
No, you wouldn't have made it to 3 kids.
Oh, yeah.
Because she said I'd have had another kid or 2.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't
Thanks
Stephen.
for the confidence.
It wasn't Stephen that sent you running to the convent.
Really?
Really?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Really? You guys are just going to ignore me?
You're the one who wanted to be left alone.
Fine.
Spill it, sister.
What is it with men?
Is that all about a specific man?
I thought I'd found him.
Him?
The one, my soulmate.
I'd forgotten what it was like to be 20-something and still believe that bullshit.
It's not bullshit.
Yeah, it is. That's what happens when you're raised on fairy tales. Fuck Walt Disney.
Andy!
Don't you, Andy, me. They're the ones that put in our heads that we should all be courted like princesses. Stranding, what is that?
Standing.
Standing in quicksand to our navels, just so you prince can gallop in on his white horse.
To Katie.
I got news for you, little girl. Ain't no man on no white horse gonna come charging along to rescue you from your life. You gotta save your own ass.
I just want to be normal.
Don't forget the golden retriever.
And the tree that Santa leaves presents under.
I have friends who managed to figure it out, who got married, had kids. What's wrong with me?
Nothing's wrong with you, honey. But what you see on the outside doesn't always reflect what goes on behind closed doors.
You guys are just old and bitter.
No, we're giving you a peek into a crystal ball of your future if you keep believing in that bullshit. Oh, that bullshit.
Just because you couldn't do it doesn't mean I can't.
What happened with this one?
It was a dream.
At first,
Bet you did everything for him.
even washed his skid mark drawers.
and thought it was a privilege. Sister Carolee and Andy clink glasses. Katie's cell phone dings a text. She reads it. She slips off the stool and steps away to make a call. Sister Carolee and Andy continue talking and drinking quietly in the background.
What do you mean they're gone? My mother texted. They just left me a message. You mean I have to wait the entire weekend to find out?
Katie rests a hand on her stomach.
There has to be somebody I can talk to. I cannot wait until Monday. I won't make it.
Breath.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
Katie stands quietly for a moment, then returns to her seat at the bar. Everything okay?
Fine.
Uh-oh.
How can they call you with test results and then not be there 5 minutes later?
Katie pushes her empty glass toward Andy for a refill. I'm sure everything's okay.
You don't know that.
What kind of test was it?
Andy!
Pregnancy?
I'll have another, please.
Grape juice?
I already quit smoking.
Give her some wine.
You're the pregnancy expert.
She pours wine into the glass. Katie takes a long sip.
I just need to know.
This sister here just sympathized with that.
No need to air my laundry.
Maybe it'll be enough.
For what?
For him to take me back. For me not to be living with my mother. Again. For me to finally be normal.
Why would you want to be with someone who dumped you?
Who said he dumped me?
Didn't he?
He said I was immature. That I was too attached to my family. He hated my mother.
You picked him.
Why do I keep choosing losers?
That's why I became a lesbian.
Breath. It's still Andy, Paul.
Okay, I just realized I was not allowed. I keep dating my father over and over. Mitch was last. He pointed it out. I don't even see it. I didn't even see it. Right there in front of my face. I didn't even see it.
You always had a thing for the ladies. Don't go blaming your father.
I don't want to be a lesbian.
You don't have to, honey. Stephen was just like my dad, too, but I didn't become a lesbian.
No, you ran to Jesus. Same thing, with no sex. And quit blaming Stephen. He might have been an asshole, but he wasn't the reason you knew it. You know it.
We're talking about Katie.
What if I am pregnant?
Then you have a decision to make.
Do I tell him?
Do you want the baby? If there is one?
Only if it meant we could be together.
That's bound to end well.
I know he loves me.
Really?
He treated me like a princess.
In the beginning.
He said I didn't fold his boxers the right way. I did it the same way my mom did my dad's. Half and then half again. But he wanted them in thirds. Sometimes I remembered, but when I didn't, he'd holler and say I didn't care about him. Then he'd go out.
And not come home till the morning?
Stephen would get mad when I forgot to put hot sauce in the chili. I told him he could just add some, but he insisted it had to be cooked in. Then I realized he asked me to make him chili every week. If I remembered the hot sauce, there was always something else I'd done wrong. It always made him leave, usually for the night.
What? Just like Mitch. But I was the one there waiting in the morning with coffee.
I prayed and prayed to know what to do.
Especially after she found out.
That is my story to tell, not yours.
The story isn't over. You talk about it like it's done. It's not.
We're talking about Katie.
Who might benefit from what you learned? Or don't? Or didn't?
You're pretty high and mighty for a barkeep.
You always get... You always did get ugly when the truth was staring you in the face.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You didn't run to the Lord. You ran from.
Enough!
What should I do?
You can't do anything until you have all the information.
That's helpful. She either is or isn't. Isn't is a no-brainer. Is no. Now that's a situation.
I love him.
No, you don't. He's just familiar. like a dirty old sock you thought you lost.
No, I do.
Loving love most of the time, baby. It's what you let yourself get used to, how people treat you, what they get away with. I'm sorry, causing rocking the boat has consequences you'd rather not deal with. It's taking shit and telling yourself it's because you love them. Then it's really just your inner Captain Save a hoe drive the train. I think
You don't know that.
I do, and so do you. You admit it.
I can't stand being back with my mother. Every day she tells me, I told you so. I knew he was a no-good bum, just like your father.
My mom said that about Stephen. He'll break your heart like your father broke mine. It was like a prayer.
Look, we all have shit that makes us do things. The best you can hope for is to see it, and then change till the next piece of shit floats to the surface.
Did you give up your baby for adoption?
Who said I was pregnant? Katie and Andy stare at her for a moment. Okay, yes, I got pregnant. It was a different time back then.
You don't want to tell your mother.
No, I didn't.
Did you go somewhere so you could have it? Did you give it up for adoption?
Silence.
Oh.
And she ran to the convent like her ass was on fire.
That is not true. Oh, look. Sorry, that should say Andy, not Melody. Sorry.
Oh.
Is it? You are apologizing to your mother, doing penance to the great Saint Margaret for doing something that she didn't even know you'd done.
I decided I was done with men. I knew I had a greater purpose.
Well, at least as a nun, you never have to worry about men having power over you.
I made it work for me.
You did the best you could with what you had from where you were. I wish you could see that.
I love the Lord.
A ministry doesn't require a pulpit.
I don't think I could do it. Be a nun. Or be a lesbian. I like men. I just don't know how to be with them. I wish there was a book.
You'll have to figure it out like the rest of us. It's all about choosing the right guy.
How the hell do you do that?
I don't know. That's why I sleep with women.
You're filling our head with nonsense.
Said the woman hiding behind the habit.
Not true. I heard the call.
The call that said, "Come to Jesus, or you'll end up sleeping with women."
Maybe. Maybe I don't have it all figured out. At least I'm doing some good in the meantime.
Jesus, Carol, you think about her. Sorry. Would she have been like, whether she'd have your eyes or his?
I made a terrible choice, Andy. Is that what you want to hear?
No, I just want to hear what you feel.
I can't do that.
You could.
To Katie. So you have to wait till Monday?
I won't sleep all weekend, but I know I couldn't do what you did.
You don't have to.
You know what? Fuck this.
Katie pulls money out of her purse, throws it on the bar, and slides off the stool.
I will not be a nun or a lesbian. I'm going to convince him that I'm worth loving. We're going to have beautiful babies, a nice home, and go on vacation once a year to a beach somewhere.
She slugs down the rest of her wine and jumps off the stool.
I'm going to drive a minivan and take my kids to baseball practice and dance lessons, and my husband will surprise me with flowers and wine, and we'll celebrate our anniversaries by going back to the exact spot where we met. We'll renew our vows every year, grow old together, and be buried right next to each other. I hope you guys are very happy.
She looks at Sister Carol Lee.
With your bar-side Bible study and
She looks at Andy.
your alternative lifestyle. But I'm going to be normal if it fucking kills me.
Katie pats the bar twice, grabs her jacket, and goes. Andy starts drying glasses.
She's young.
She'll make the right choice.
Oh, sorry, it's close. Not for me to say what that is.
But it's okay for you to say what mine should have been.
Miss, my friend.
I'm right here.
No, you're not.
Andy grabs Sister Carol Lee's glass.
Let me get you a refill.
She fills it with Guinness and puts it back on the bar. Do you think I could put a sign up in the men's room about the Bible study?
Sure, if you clean it first.
Where's the mop?
In the closet.
Sister Carol Lee grabs her new glass of Guinness and slides off the stool. Thanks, Andy.
I know you put in a good word for me with the Lord.
Always. Curtain.
All right. There's something so great about seeing a nun drink Guinness.
Yep. Any feedback?
I like it. I think the dialogue flows really nicely. I think that, yeah. Let me take a look back.
What I find myself doing is just like adding tweaks to the lines. You know, sometimes I'm on point, sometimes most of the time I'm not. But I was like, it should be that. No, it's you. It's all you. So, in regards to how I look at it.
Well, and you know the actors do that, Paul. That's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Because it might flow out of my mouth, but it won't flow out of your mouth. You know what I mean? I'm not opposed to that as a playwright in any way, shape, or form, because the goal is for the character to be authentic.
Yeah.
And for what comes out of their mouth to sound real. So.
Yeah. It's only slight tweaks, like just like a couple things here, maybe a word in front of that. It's nothing like the actual dialogue is solid. It works out the way it is. It's not interlacing. It requires a level of pivot. I mean, granted, the way people talk, there's usually some pauses, but in this situation, it's written work, so it doesn't make any sense to have that.
Yeah, I put in a couple of moments, a couple of breaths I think, and one thing of silence around the abortion.
The process, the whole concept of processing works out really well. Like there's something you wrote like a while ago, and I want to say is this the same nun that ends up going to buy a house?
She's going to be in the third play.
She doesn't buy.
She goes to get a dog.
And she's talking with the woman. I said the only problem with the dialogue there was that everything was overlapping. I said, "Are these friends?" And you're like, "No." I'm like, but yet they're talking like this. They almost finish each other. Where in this situation, you don't have that. You have that actually. It's built in where there is some contemplation, and obviously these people are witty, and Annie's comfortable in her own space, so it doesn't matter how she says it.
So were Carol and Andy previously friends? Like how long did they?
Childhood friends.
Okay.
A long time. Okay. So you think that could be clearer?
Yeah.
No, I was actually. Well, see, I kind of got that.
I wanted people to get that without coming out and saying it. Because if she knew her when she went to her mom, right.
So I figured that's that happened when she was younger. I got it without it being said. I think that maybe I guess maybe if you wanted to put one little thing in there to clear it up, maybe something other than the abort, like just one little sentence, maybe referring back to their childhood or something.
Yeah.
Because I made a commitment to myself that I wasn't going to look at what I wrote for Molly's class when I sat down to write this. Because I didn't want it to be a rewrite because this thesis is supposed to be all new work. So I took the characters and recreated it. I didn't look at what I wrote before, but there are a couple of lines I have in there that I might go steal.
Okay.
A piece of a conversation they have about how they've known each other since they were kids.
Yeah.
If it works,
I don't think you need much, but yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
If you can in some way connect what Melina just suggested to obviously we wouldn't be able to connect it to the abortion, but her repetitive act of doing something, like when she's backed into a situation that's really crazy, showing that loop, because that also explains why she's leaving. Doesn't she leave the convent eventually?
That'll be in the third play. That'll be
But that
in
does
chapter
happen.
3.
So if you actually show the pattern, if they're lifetime friends, and you can actually show the pattern of her doing that, because people naturally do that, maybe in a childhood quip in regards to obviously the abortion thing would be one thing. Then now that she's given up, she gave up men, went to God. Now going from God to owning a house or whatever situations afterwards. So she can actually show a window of that. This is a pattern since she was a kid.
Okay.
So you're adding what Melina said, but you're also adding in just a thread that this is something that she's done before. And
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you read into childhood, that would actually make sense.
Has she changed a lot? Has Carol changed a lot since childhood?
She changed a lot after she had the abortion.
Okay,
because they both
that's the
come from
impression
similar
I got.
backgrounds. And, you know, when I rewrite chapter 1, and you'll see that Andy comes from a mother who was pretty vacant and an alcoholic father.
Okay.
And Carol had the opposite, an absent father and a mother who drank a lot. So they were both enablers. You know,
Right.
So that was a big connection for them. So, and I mean, some of that stuff will end up coming out in a rewrite. I'm actually going to jot that down. You know, that they both had similar habits, even though one did it with her dad and one did it with her mom.
So I mean,
So
if I, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So if I say that Andy's okay with Carol's life choices, but she's just trying to kind of like bring back a little bit of who Carol used to be, is that
Yes.
accurate? Okay.
Yes. Because in the first play, Andy's going to have her revelation of, holy shit, I've been dating my father every time I choose a guy. You know, I've just been repeating that pattern over and over again. She's going to have a revelation about that, and typically people who have a revelation about their own lives then go on a mission to make sure that everybody in their own lives has a similar revelation so that they can all be in the same place again. Because it's very uncomfortable when you have a revelation about your life and all of your friends are behind you, metaphorically, because then you end up feeling really lonely. So that's what, you know, and actually this is really good because I actually may go back and listen to this part. But, you know, you end up feeling really lonely when you change and nobody else around you has. Mm-hmm. So you want to force the people around you to change, and that's what Andy's doing in this chapter. She's had her own revelation, and now she wants to force the people that she cares about to change.
Okay.
So that's why she's pushing Carol to see that she's not gotten over the fact that she had an abortion 20 years ago. You know, that she ran away to the convent and used it as an escape. And yeah, maybe she's been doing some good, but she's not been helping herself.
Right.
You can develop a circular pattern, actually, because what happens is if somebody turns around and creates, like, makes a decision that affects them, and they haven't actually dealt with that, then they actually have to go back. Then they'll go through a whole cycle. They'll do anything else to actually put that on the back burner, not to face that issue. And
right.
You're saying Annie's the one that's forcing her into that issue, which is great. What do you call it? And you kind of get that, but it's not as it's subtle.
It'll make more sense. Right, but it'll make more sense when you see the first chapter.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that. Because I get the whole idea of milestones. Like, when people achieve milestones, they don't realize that, like, you know, I've accomplished certain things growing up. And a lot of friends didn't do it. And they were like, well, I don't get why you're like this now, or why this has changed all of a sudden. Because now I'm running things this way because I have these responsibilities to deal with. I don't have that as much anymore. And with that comes some insight and knowledge and understanding about things. And sometimes you have a tendency to put past things away. and package them up relatively well,
Right.
dust them off to have that pearl of wisdom. So in this situation, maybe a circular pattern from before. Remember I mentioned when they were kids together, something that she did before that's also in the same pattern, like you know, some childlike. Like remember that time you stole this and were afraid to, you know, blah blah blah, fill in the blank. That would actually work, because then you show her that she gets stuck more or less. You're dealing with and then if Andy is an enabler. No, see, not all enablers get stuck in that pattern though. Sometimes they bullet through, and because they realize, hey, this is not my problem. This is more or less your problem. That's the ones that already have that knowledge.
Right.
Like you mentioned, like they're aware. Like, wait a second, this is your bullshit. This is not my bullshit. So you're trying to force that onto me. That's not going to happen there, pal. Because history's already taught me that if I take that bullshit on, then I'm now wrapped in it.
Right.
In this situation, Andy's already that person where she's not really. So Andy's more of a linear pattern of living, maybe a couple of circles here. But when you're dealing with what's the nuns? I can't remember.
Carol.
Carol, when you deal with Carol, she's larger circles. Like, you know, like when you lay out mysteries, like there's always like, it's like a cog structure, because you always go from one piece, and in the scene a person has to get a clue of something before they go to the next scene. Well, that would be more like Andy, but she does it relatively fast. Whereas Carol probably takes a longer process. I mean, dedicating your life to the Lord just because of an abortion situation is literally a one-way situation, but it also ties you up for quite a while. Does that make any sense?
It does. It does. And there's going to be about 5 years between the first chapter and the second chapter.
That works.
Okay.
So a quip, just something about the childhood that she mentions. Maybe that came. Are both characters in the first chapter too? Is Andy and
No, just Andy is in the first chapter. Carol is not.
Hey, maybe she can make a mention. You probably don't have to do that in the dialogue then. Maybe she can make a mention in the first chapter about somebody that about Carol. And
I'll think about that. I'll think about that.
That would actually tighten that up, and the person would have to then, you're forcing the audience to pay attention to everything, which is great. They should be. For the most part, you can have something equipped there she mentions off to the side, and she doesn't have to mention it again. It's just something that you already know about Carol without even meeting Carol.
That's a really good idea, because I could use that as part of the structure of the play.
Yeah. If you're clever enough, you can use it as a springboard for something else later on.
If I'm clever enough. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
We'll see.
I guess we'll see, exactly. All right, well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, I think this went pretty well.
Yeah,
Not bad.
Some minor technology and scheduling glitches on my end, but okay. It is what it is, and it's done. So, all right, so you know how to post this on YouTube. This will go onto your YouTube channel, Milena?
Once I hit stop broadcast, I think it should immediately go straight to YouTube. If not, it'll be in Google Hangouts, and I can figure out how to do something with that. So.
Okay.
That's what happened before, right? You just dropped into the YouTube, right?
It just shows up automatically on YouTube, on my YouTube. So.
Okay.
Check yours too. Let me know if it. Yeah.
All right, and we're at 1:30, so you've got enough time to take a breath before you have to talk to Jason.
Awesome.
Yes.
See you guys.
All right, bye.
All right.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Yeah, no problem.